Hello. I'm just stretching here. You know, I've been watching this show called Stargate SG-1, and I'm one of those kind of guys where because I only watch one show at a time, meaning that until I finish a show, especially older shows, until I finish a show, I'm not going to be watching any other shows, you know? That's just how it works. With the exception of maybe a few here and there that are ongoing that I'm already invested into, or, movies, that kind of thing. But otherwise, in a general sense, when I watch TV shows, yeah, I just keep going until it's done. But once it's done, it's done. That's just how it's been working for me. You know? Man, people have been talking about the World Cup lately. And so I'll make like a bunch of Stargate references later, probably. But anyway, back onto the World Cup. I don't know if the U.S. is going to win this one. Maybe they could win this one because of that one game they had with Paraguay, but I don't know. It's not a guarantee. It's just one game. It is just one game. One game of many. And, yeah. There have been other countries and other nations playing and stuff like that. But, I don't know who's gonna win. Frankly, I don't really care unless it's my nation winning. I don't care. I really don't fucking care. I just don't. I don't see it happening. If I'm gonna be realistic. At least not in this specific World Cup. But in the 2030s or the 2040s, depending on how things go. But most likely the 2030s, if I'm being realistic. And most likely when it were to happen, we would probably start at least win a World Cup, because not many nations can really say, oh yeah, we won a World Cup. Many nations have been at a World Cup game, but they've rarely, even been to a World Cup final, let alone just a regular World Cup game. Not every nation that's ever existed in between that time has ever had a World Cup game, World Cup final either. That kind of thing. Like, I'm not even sure if the USSR ever played in its existence back when it did exist. But, if you ask me, quit scratching my face. Yeah, the U.S. has potential here in the next couple of years. But again, it's not a guarantee because you never know, But to be fair, South America and especially Europe have been really, 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 really getting into other sports that are very, very different from soccer, as I like to call it. And these kind of people are starting to realize that the mainstream dominant sport, yeah, it's popular in Europe or whatever, but it's like, it can only be popular for so long over there. That kind of thing. And similar thing going on with Africa. They have a lot of nations, especially the poorer, less developed nations. More war-torn, more poverty-heavy nations like that, crime-heavy nations. They're less likely to go towards soccer, like they're starting, not completely. The majority and most people still do regardless. But it is slowly turning towards other completely different sports entirely. Or just at least similar ones, like tag football, or baseball, or basketball, or hell, even beanbag, otherwise known as cornhole. It's just like a really popular thing. Like it's getting big. And then there's tag, or it, as the British say. And that is also a sport. There is a professional version of it anyway. And then I think they might make a professional version of hide and go seek. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm telling you, I'm a lot better at seeking than I am hiding. I'm not very good at hiding. That kind of thing. Because if I was, I probably wouldn't even be using the internet in the first place. I would have just disappeared from society during 2020 and never returned. But I'm not good at hiding. I'm good at seeking them. I'm good at finding people to an extent. Not the best, because obviously I don't know every single way to do that. But, on the other hand, it's not impossible for me to find somebody, especially people that I actually know, not just you, okay? You might think you know me, you might think, oh, you look very similar, oh, you look the same as this individual, etc., etc., but it's like, how should I explain? There are doppelgangers, so no, I am not your, individual you're looking for, most likely. Most likely, I am a person that looks like, that looks like somebody you know. Because I do get that often, a lot in my life, where a lot of people are like, you look like this person, knowing I'm not that person, So you're most likely, 100% sure you were mistaken. Okay? I'm gonna be real for that. And there are some other things that I could talk about, but I don't know. I don't know if YouTube is really willing to let me. But I could give it a try. I really could give it a try. When I go to the bathroom, at least recently, I've been needing to go to the bathroom constantly a lot. For some reason, like my bodily functions, like they just, for some reason, haven't been working well, I guess you could say. As in, like it makes me need to go to the bathroom a lot. And instead of going just like, a few times a day, which for me is the normal thing, a few times a day, but I'm in there for a while. Now it's like I'm in there for maybe like 5-10 minutes, which for your average, bathroom session, that's normal. Here's the problem though. I'm doing this a lot. I'm doing this like 15-20 times a day, instead of my usual like 13 or 7. Because usually my usual 13 or 7 is throughout the entire day, because that's usually how much I would normally go. But for some reason, for the past, I want to say, month or so, I've been needing to go like 20-30 times a day, You might go, well, why don't you just hold the nid? Well, the problem is if I hold it in, it's gonna get longer, and it's gonna probably most likely get worse, because it's going whatever, constantly moving and going and whatever. I don't know how to explain it, but basically, like, the piss kind of holds in itself, and then, eventually it will come out. Especially poop. Poop has a harder time coming out than pee, but it's still like an issue for me, Still like a constant issue, where I'm needing to go to the bathroom a lot more than I normally am. And the craziest part is I'm 19. I am 19, time of recording, pushing 20 years old, by the way. Pushing 20 years old this year. This year that this video was released on. And here's some things. I don't know why I moved my hand like that, but I did. It really bothers me. It really fucking bothers me. And you might go, are you drinking a lot of liquids or something? And I would say that, well, no, actually. I don't drink a lot of liquids. I might drink water occasionally throughout my day, but I don't drink like a lot of water. I don't drink like so much that I'm drowning in it. Like I drink maybe like a few cups like this big, like 4 or 5 at most. And that's if I'm really particularly thirsty that day, and usually I only drink like 1 or 2, because that's all I really ever need most days, At least if you're talking just like straight up water, And I don't really drink many other liquids besides that. And even when I do, normally that would just be the end of it, But for some reason, that isn't. That is not the end of it. So maybe I do probably need an adult diaper, unfortunately, because of the way my bodily functions have been working, What I'm really afraid of is that I probably actually do unironically have a kidney stone or something, Which really, really fucking sucks. That kind of thing. But, I don't know. Speaking of kidney stones, why don't they ever just take kidney stones and they put it in like a kidney stone pond or lake, like Kidney Stone Lake, where you take people's kidney stones, the ones that you're allowed to grab, the ones that you're allowed to get, and you put it into like this lake or something, into a lake where it's like it's connected to all the other rivers, it's connected to all the other lakes and stuff like that. It's like you throw it in there and you let it be used in that water, that kind of thing. But yeah, your body can just make rocks inside of you. Like the fuck? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. But your kidneys can just do that. I don't really understand. What's the process? Why is it doing that? You know? But yeah, or make a special river where it's like it's a long, kind of fast stream, you know? That kind of thing. So that way, you can have your kidney stones just float away. I don't know, man. It's interesting to think about. And, got a lot of rivers that go north, that flow to north, you know, that go north. Technically up north, but going north doesn't exactly mean up, you know. So, that's how that works. But what should you do about other things? Like cancer. Oh, my foot. I don't know why, but there's like a slight pain in my foot for some reason. Well, anyway, I gotta stop scratching myself so much. I really do think that, you can take all those kidney stones and just throw them out there, that kind of thing. Then you could at least have it somewhere where you're not constantly, having it around, especially for bigger ones, because of the way that is. Man, that's what I would do if I had kidney stones. I would take those kidney stones and just go dump them in a lake or something, you know? But, it's never happened. Never really happened. That kind of thing. I want to explore things, not necessarily the world, but the universe. Humans should start, at least in the next 100 years, start colonizing other planets and stuff like that. In the next 100 years, start colonizing planets. And it might take 1 trillion years for us, but we would colonize most of the universe by that point. And how big that world is... universe is. How big the universe truly is unknown. Because it keeps expanding. And if it goes into nothingness, like it just keeps growing, then it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But if there is something, so like basically a universe wall or something, then that would be interesting. But that would also potentially mean that our universe is more limited than we thought. But, oh no, man, it's just something to think about. It's just something to think about and ponder of kind of individuals could possibly exist, you know? If there is a world that's advanced as ours, how come we don't know about them yet? Don't know. Can't say. Who's to say that when we do find life out, that's like us right now, or us, I mean the planet Earth, in the time that this video was posted in, by the time, we're over there and they were in some sort of society like that, and we came to their planet, we would be the aliens, Like, people tend to forget that. Like, when you go to another planet, you're the alien, not the other way around. And that's hard for some people to understand, some folks. And man, oh man, I tell ya, if I had $1 for every time they said there was no aliens, I'd be a rich man right now. I'd be a fucking rich man. Because it's like, what if we're not alone in the universe, but what if we are alone in the universe? They say both are equally terrifying. But if we're not alone in the universe, then there are, say, civilizations of aliens that are just as or even more advanced than we are, then that's probably gonna be an issue. Then on the other hand, if we are truly alone, we'll never know that there are aliens. We'll always keep looking for it, but we'll never truly find aliens because, well, it wouldn't be there. And you don't really know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And you do know what you do know. But sometimes something you don't know is what you do know. And sometimes what you do know is what you don't know. And it can go that way. It can go that way. But yeah, humans really do need to colonize the universe so that way they can spread the gene, the human genome everywhere. Duh, That's what I would have done. I would have just, what were we talking about? Oh yes, conquering the universe. That's what I would do. I would just conquer the universe. Or something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know how to say this, but people are going crazy over the Oliver Tree death. And that's a big deal, at least for some people. And man, I'm telling you, it really makes you think. It's the goes on and on and on and on and on guy, the onion guy, if you will. And man, like then there was the supposed, protect the children act, if you will, for the UK, that kind of thing. Oh, protect the children! Protect the children! You ain't wanting to protect the children. You're just mad because you got caught or something. And now you want to censor the internet for everybody because, no, you're under 16 years old, therefore you can't do this, or whatever. But it's like, Dog. If a parent doesn't want their kid looking at a certain thing on the internet, that doesn't mean you have to get the government involved and ruin it for everybody. You know, like that's something that people really do need to learn from that kind of stuff. Man. Then there was the whole peace treaty thing, and I don't really think it's going to be peace, personally. I don't know. I think it's going to end up with them bombing places again, Iran and U.S. But I think this temporary era of peace can probably work. But here's the thing, it's temporary. It is temporary, so it's not going to work long term. And it's not very good. Bricks and minifigs. So, we had that guy. Then we had some other guy. He lived to like 100. He died. Another guy, he died. Man, there's not a lot of people I can think that passed away recently. Whatever. Anyway, there are just some things in this world that need to be spoken. And if you don't speak them, they probably don't exist. So, yeah. And I, however, am an average individual who's very sleepy. And who's been very sleepy for a while. You know? Like, free the creature program. I don't know. The internet had became and I forgot what I was saying. I don't know. I slightly fell asleep. What do you think you're doing? Start digging in your butt, twin. Okay, bro? Like, I have this blanket. I love this blanket. Makes me feel all cuddly and wiggly woogly. Tragedy. Words coming out of my mouth. Do you like words that are coming out of my mouth? I don't know, man. I'm not that good at, knowing people. I have no idea who you are. You could be anybody. You could be anybody watching this. You could be the best person ever. You could be the worst person ever. Who knows? You know? But I don't know what to tell you. It's just a very long video, okay? Can I make that clear? I hope I can make that clear because it's going to get stranger and stranger and stranger. But smiley face emoji. Something about somebody dead. something looks strange here. I don't know, man. I don't know why. What the fuck was going on? The sky is falling. 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 Oh, man. Feel good. Be good. You know? Boom boo clad. On the crazies. Boom boo clad. I don't know. I'm not from the Jamaicas. The questionable green, yellow, and black. You know? The flag. Man, I don't have a lot to say. I really don't. I thought I would, but I don't. There's just not much to go around these days, it seems. But I do have the Snaky Snake, and the Snaky Snake has opinions. He be like, who cares about Gaza? Israel and the quote-unquote Palestine are both the same thing anyways. Let's bomb both of them. Ha 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 ha. Well, I don't know that, Mr. Snake. Ooh, why not? Because probably should have just called it West Bank. Good point. Now let's worry about the fraud going on in Minnesota. Minnesota? Yes, Minnesota. Minnesota. Why should I be worried about Minnesota? Are you fucking kidding me? Yes. Yes, I am kidding you. Fuck you, then. Like, you see how that's going around with that snake? He's moving. He is moving. Look at him. Is incest wrong? Yes. That kind of thing. At least to my knowledge. So, yeah. Yeah, man. Got a snake. Got a snake. Snakey, snake, snake. Snakey, snake, snake. Snakey, snake, snake. Solid snake. Jeffrey Epstein went to every major religion and every, well, even minority ones, but still, and every political world view in every country and every nation that exists currently, as on the day that I posted this video. So he has either been partially or directly involved in some way, or directly or indirectly, you know, if it was more obvious or if it was kind of hidden. Somehow Jeffrey Epstein was involved. Alright? That's who he is. He's a triple traitor. He's a traitor to the U.S., he's a traitor to Israel, and he is a traitor to his own movement, and whoever he really was, we don't really know. But he was trying to summon every single holy thing from every single religion possible, and then do a bunch of other rituals from a whole bunch of other religions. And then on top of it, everything was covered in super fucking symbolism and things like that. And then he wanted to keep all the special creatures out. When they got released from this place. That kind of thing. And well, to the fucking well. I'm telling you right now, he probably did. And somebody probably fucking opened it. Because, I don't know, J.D. Vance is our U.S. president, vice president, time of recording, but if you're watching this in the distant future, going, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know either, okay? You're watching me in a rare moment of where I still acknowledge that I'm losing my mind, right? Like, it used to be a joke, like, oh yeah, I'm losing my mind. But it's like, no, really, I am losing my mind. Like, I'm just in what would become the earliest stages of losing your mind. At least that's what they say. You know? Look up Gotham City, Michigan. Oh, no, but what about this? No. Go on to Google Earth. Look up Gotham City, Michigan. Guess what's gonna pop up? Fucking Batman, you know? Obviously. Obvious fucking Lee, okay? Alright? I don't know what else to tell ya. There are some things you could go around. Stargate SG-1. You know, I really do like that show. I really do like that show so far. You know, I'm only a couple episodes deep. I vaguely watched it when I was younger, but I never fully watched it. I just thought it was like a weird crossover episode between Goosebumps and MacGyver. I don't know much about it, you know? That's what I thought about it. I just thought it was like a weird rip-off series of MacGyver, which it basically is, but if I were to make a TV show, if I were to make a franchise off of the things I would make, that's almost how I would make it. The only difference is that I would base it off of modern worldviews, mythology, and religion. And by modern, I mean like really young ones. I don't mean like modern as in the old religions, you know, in their modern context. That's not what I mean. I don't mean like Christianity or Islam or something. I mean like those niche religions that are only formed in this century. By this century, I mean the 21st century. 2000 to 2099. That's what I'm referring to specifically. But I can make exceptions here and there for other religions, you know, especially if they're current ones. But basically, a bunch of underground conspiracy theories, you know, and I would do like a world tour, so to speak, where it's like not like necessarily you know, them going around the world. I mean like they go on, like each season is like different lore and stuff like that, where they go on to like certain parts, to like certain mythologies or something or whatever, and it starts off with, I guess, Africa, and then Europe, and then Asia, and then Oceania, technically Australia, then North America, South America, and then obviously Antarctica. That's the big one. That's the big one. Or maybe do it in reverse order, you know? That kind of thing, where it like it starts off with the younger mythologies and then it goes on to the oldest mythologies. That kind of thing, to make it in there to like go straight to the core, where it's like the older it gets, the more deeper in the lore you have to go through or something. But yeah, I think I would just start off with Africa. That's basically what I would do. Because why not? But I wouldn't do it immediately. If I were to make worlds and stuff like that, I would make it like throughout the season, you know? And obviously, I'd make it like 23 episodes. And what I would do is, I started to notice that a lot of those older episodes are like episode specific, where their adventures are specific to the episode, you know? And you don't get a lot of TV shows that are like that anymore, because that would also mean that they wouldn't have to add, recaps to their episodes, which is actually kind of a good thing, because, like, I get that they're trying to make it all interconnected or whatever, and they're trying to make it like, like the whole thing, because a lot of shows nowadays, they, like, have each season be, like, its own thing, and each, part of the season just being like how deep into the lore you are in, and then the episodes just so happen to be which portion of the exact lore you're a part of, rather than being like of which season, rather than being of this adventure that happened right now is only specific to this specific episode. If you ask me, what should happen is, if you want to make them more season or episode, season or show specific, like if it's Stargate and the whole point is like, them going through portals, yeah, that's like the whole entire show. But like certain main villains or certain big bad guys or something, then I would say that's more season specific or seasons, but each season is more like a different portion of, a specific thing, or like an idea you can really stretch out, that kind of thing, where you can really put it out there while at the same time keeping the series going, where each one is all interconnected. And then, it gets all crazy with the stuff or whatever. But how I would make an episode is I would try to make it more season and episode specific, but like, because, it's a show, I would keep it in a way where it's like, it makes sense to have it season per season, not necessarily this guy so happened to do this thing that, now we're in the next season. No, I mean like, when it goes into the next season and it finally ends or something, there will be like hints throughout that season of what will be the next season, that kind of thing, or many seasons later, that kind of whatever, like references to the season before, references to the season, references to other episodes, that kind of thing, and references to, the next upcoming season. And it's going to be mostly references from the current season, and mostly references, like, second amount of references from the season before. But the third category is either later seasons or the next upcoming season after that one. If you have more than 3 seasons, that kind of thing. Like Stargate. Like Stargate SG-1, which had 10 seasons, by the way. And it ended in 2006, my birth year. And I'm telling you this because it's true. That's how long the show lasts. But yeah, after I would do that, then I would just start going into more, after all the continents, I would just start going into more original, like, mythology or in-lore mythology or something like that. You know what I mean? Or whatever. I don't know. Dog. Like, what do you think? It just goes crazy. It just goes crazy. You know? It's whatever. Or what you could do is you could take all the mythologies from each continent, from each part of the world, from all these different parts, and do a rotation where it's like for each continent, including Antarctica, by the way. Okay? Like mostly in like later seasons, where for each big time mythology or something, where it's like huge for like the continent or whatever, it's like in the order I just said, but for every like 7 episodes, because there's 7 continents, right? I think that's how it would work, but I don't know. 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 plus 14 is 28. So there's that. And 28, if you cut it down to a regular first season, which is usually, 22 episodes, not 22, 23 episodes. I don't know what I would really do with that information. Maybe what we could do is just, like I said, just let the season be the season, Or fuck, don't even have, like, go completely old, modern, new, whatever, where for every episode, regardless of continent, or do that rotation as well, where you're just going between old and new, 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 old and new. And then the first one is obviously going to be an old one where it's just like, it's the opening one, it's the most obvious one, it's the one that everybody is aware of or something. That kind of thing within what is Africa, I'm assuming if I'm starting with Africa, and then it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, Or hell, you could just make up your own mythology entirely, Yeah, you could include it based off of, or use real-life mythologies, or real-life religions, or real-life political worldviews, or, say, sports, or music, books, other movies and TV shows, that kind of thing. The way you dress, the way you act, everything. Make up your own lore, stuff like that, your own universe. And I think that's what I would do. I think I would probably, like, at least every couple of episodes have, like, at least one like original world where it's completely just based off of the lore of that universe, you know, where it's like specific to that franchise. That's what I would do. And there's a reason why I want to go more with TV shows than I want to do with movies, because TV shows are usually a lot cheaper. But one of the problems is that you have to constantly come up with ideas, you know? So if you're an idea spark, or if you have to constantly come up with ideas, which, if you ask me, I think Star Wars should have did in the 70s, but they didn't. So they made it like 2 movies, and then like the third one you can kind of forget. But for the main 2, the original 2 of the first original Star Wars trilogy, which is really just a double, 2 movie series. Like, they just basically ran out of ideas by movie 3. But they could have easily, or, stretched it out quite a lot more with their ideas, or at least got more ideas from making it a TV show. But you can't go back. You can't go back in time and just, change things up. But, what you can do? You can make your own lore. I always thought about making something so unoriginal that it becomes original, where it's like it's so unoriginal to the point where its unoriginality is what makes it original. Like, I always wanted to make especially a movie like that, more so than a TV show, but a TV show could do as well. And I know I'm never going to really be like writing a book or making a video game. I know I'm most likely never going to do that. But if I were to make a movie or a TV show, yeah, I would probably just do that at least once. For a movie. Because you never know. That kind of thing. But yeah, I would just say, if you're gonna like make basically a Stargate where it's a conspiracy, like a niche conspiracy theorist's dream come true, because usually the niche ones is where you start getting into the real like hardcore, they unironically believe this, like they'll literally buy mansions because they think Armageddon is going to happen, and they're not just buying it just to flex. A lot of these people will buy stuff like that because they genuinely do believe that Armageddon is going to happen, and so they need to be prepared in this specific way. Like those kind of conspiracy theorists. In other words, basically, think of like Charles Taze Russell, where he I think he bought like a house because he thought he really believed that the world was gonna end, and he wanted all of his great guys to show up. Imagine that, but like Alex Jones level conspiracy theories, but for extremely localized and extremely niche references, things like that, especially ones that are extremely foreign to your culture within your own society. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Talking about you watching this. That's what I would do. That's what I would fucking do. You know what? Maybe I will do it. I don't know about this specific day, but maybe this year. You know what? I am gonna do it. Not right now. Not obviously not in the immediate right now. But I think maybe I could make a movie and see where it goes. Assuming I can find people to make it. But it does make you think. And I don't know. But if I were to make a title, I want it to be like something something that like not necessarily catches your eyeball, but makes you think, what is that about? You know, it makes you think, not necessarily something you would be interested in, but something you know that somebody else, or you specifically, might just watch because fuck it, I guess I got time to. Like that kind of thing. Like, I want that kind of stuff, and then you watch it and then it turns into peak, as they say. But the problem with peak is that it gets people like addicted to the internet in a bad way, and you're not really supposed to be addicted to the internet even in a good way, because why are you addicted to the internet, period? But yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. I wouldn't really try to, go with modern technology, as in, devices that I'm using to make this video, because what's the whole point if you can just, make your own little special universe, that kind of thing. But I would start it off as basically how any franchise or anything would start, as like simple things, and then make it seem like a real world place, kind of, where it becomes more complicated over time, more complex, complicated, and hard over time, that kind of thing. And especially with the languages and stuff like that. But purely for plot convenience, if you will, I would probably make them all speak modern English, current modern day English, that kind of thing. Because, I'm not exactly the best at trying to make new languages or whatever, but what we could do is make them have different writing systems, where it's like, oh, this culture writes differently from that one, so because of it, they're very different, where they can't really understand each other, because even though they're both speaking English, because lore reasons or something, that kind of thing. I don't know. It's just crazy, don't you think? Maybe. I want to make a TV show. I really wish I could. I had access to people who could do that. But I only got the internet. So I guess I would just have to go based off of that. I don't know what else to say. Other than, yeah. I got stuff I gotta do. IRL maxing, to be specific. But anyway, I am out of here. So I shall see you later. Or probably not. But regardless, this is the end of the video. So, good morning, good day, good evening, and good night. Alright.